Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning or good evening, depending on when and where you're watching this. My name is Ted Camp, and I am your son or daughter's teacher this year for Advanced Placement European History. This is a bit about background, although I think I've met just about all of you. This is my 32nd year of teaching at boarding schools, and my 26th year. I'm starting my 26th year at St. James School. When I arrived on camp back in the spring of 1995, when I first met Father Dunn and our then at the time associate head, Miss Pollock, I got to admit met them to talk about teaching at St. James, and thought, well, why don't I come down and give this place a try? I really wasn't thinking about moving to Mid-Maryland, having been born and raised in New England. But I came, and I remember being picked up at the airport and coming on campus, and just first of all thinking what a beautiful spot this is, kind of nestled in the foothills of the Appalachians. I love the architecture and the buildings. But then more substantially, I really came to appreciate and was impressed by the program, the school's ethos in terms of organizing or authoring, having a small traditional boarding school with rigorous academics, a full complement of athletic and artistic life, also to sort of mixed in with a spiritual component, which I think is important to students. Aside from teaching advanced placement European history to your son or daughter, I also teach second form ancient civilizations and fourth form advanced placement world history. So in some ways, I have a number of students at the beginning, middle, and end of their career, which is kind of fun to watch them grow up. Aside from teaching history, I also am chair of the history and religion department, weekend team captain, the school's senior master, and coach soccer and help out with basketball and in the athletic department in the winter. I'm also faculty director of the annual fund and serve on the school's capital campaign steering committee. And I also serve as a lay Eucharistic minister in the chapel. So it's a full day, but the years go by quick, is for sure. In terms of the course this year, content-wise, it's sort of the classic modern European history. While we do some context and background, the course really hits the ground running in the year 1450. That is the point at which most historians believe that the Reformation, the Renaissance, is up and running, and it really goes until the end point, about 2008 to 2010. So well after the end of the Cold War, and sort of the new Europe as it works on integration, economically and politically. In between, we do a little bit of everything. All the big, great social, political, economic, and intellectual movements. How society changed, how Europe grew from being, some absolute divine right monarchs to now being, a very democratic corner of the world. To help us through that, the textbooks we use, which a child may have at home, we come up with this book, the Palmer text, which is pretty substantial, and actually it's one of the most widely used AP texts in the country. I was at a conference a while back, and a couple of other AP faculty members at other schools were envious that I got to use that. It's like, really, your school allows you to use it? And I said, yes, we do. And they were envious. Two other books, because I also want them to read some things outside. I gravitated towards a historian named Neil Ferguson over the years. So I think he writes kind of on some neat topics. He has a kind of an engaging style. You'll see him on the television quite a bit. He's a presenter. The first book they read last summer was entitled The Square and the Tower. I feel like I'm on C-SPAN right now. The Square and the Tower, which really kind of takes a neat look at history. And he said that, Europe's history is organized between squares and towers. Towers, very hierarchical organizations like the Roman Catholic Church or, absolute monarchies or authoritarian governments. In the square, which is kind of all the networks of networks that exist. And what he really did in this book is looked at Europe's history through networks, going all the way back to the Illuminati, the Masons, the Freemasons, the guild situation, and all the different, kind of social groups, social, political, and economic groups and religious groups that, move through Europe. And I got the kids to think about, okay, what networks do you actually belong aside from your one at school and Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or whatever. And then the other book that we'll read over Christmas vacation is another book, one of his many, is called Empire. And really what he did is he looks at the British Empire. And the idea with these two books, whereas Square on the Tower really kind of addresses things really in Europe, Empire looks at everything outside of Europe through the lens of the British Empire, which was the biggest and in some ways the most successful of the European empires. Although he's always quick to say that empire is the most unoriginal thing that Europe ever did. Well, with that in mind, in terms of assignments, really kind of breaks down into a number of different types. And the idea of these assignments is to kind of do two things simultaneously. On the one hand, prepare them for the class discussion each day, be it reading or writing something, responding to a discussion post. And then the other assignments are to develop their general academic skills, reading, writing, research assignments, which we'll do throughout the year. And then finally, the third type of assignments gets to prepare them for the AP exam, which will be given in May. And once again, at the writing of this time, the 11th of October, the College Board said, yes, we're going to do AP exams just like we've always done them, so we can avoid what we had last spring when the kids were taking them online. Although, to the kids' credit, I think they did a great job of, sort of on the fly figuring out how to do everything online. It was just really impressive. And I'm thinking about the students who I taught last year and what I've seen so far. I think we're all just becoming so much more connected to doing things online ever before. For me, it was prior. A lot of it was just ordering things on Amazon or, working on Blackbaud. So the assignments, we've already started doing a few with our quizzes. We're working on the short answers, keeping in mind that the AP exam is made up of multiple choice questions, short answers, document-based questions, and a long essay question. We've been working on multiple choice questions for their quizzes. They always have to write a short answer. They've written already a couple of long essays, which really requires the students to fully develop a thought or idea just off of a question. And then next weekend, and I just parenthetically to say that this is, I'm making this video on the 11th of October. This weekend, they'll be writing their first document-based question. Although the nice thing is that with Mrs. James last year, if they had Mrs. James for AP U.S. History last year, and me back in fourth form, they really are getting good at writing these right now because the AP curriculum is basically the same across the board. They're writing the same types of questions. So the nice thing I like about this is that we're really not inventing the wheel, that they've got a sense of where to take these essays. And it's really kind of frees us up to sort of talk more about content and sort of the different ideas that we have. If you're in terms of assignments beyond that, what I do is that I give students assignments in 2-week stretches. What I hope to do with that is, sort of give them a chance to begin to think long-term down the road a little bit. That, okay, I don't have much to do tonight. It's a short reading assignment, which I can maybe take care of in about 15 minutes. But a little bit later in the week, I have an outline due or a big part of a research project or an essay to do. And once again, they'll realize that, oh, wait a minute, I also have an English essay and a big problem set in maths. So they always have those two assignment sheets, those 2-week assignment sheets. Put first of all on Blackboard, where I enter them in individually. Or what I also do is I write them out on a piece of paper and I download the piece of paper so they can really kind of see a couple of different ways to organize their papers or their assignments. Oh, phone ringing. Speaking of which, if you ever need to get in touch with me, I highly recommend reaching out by email through my St. James account. The phone, which is ringing now, and as I'm almost 9 minutes into this, really just about done. I really don't really get to the phone during the day, and emailing me on my St. James account, I'm a lot quicker to get back to. So if you want to see some more nuts and bolts of the class, what I do is I download all of the my introduction expectation sheet on Blackbaud, so you can sort of peruse through more kind of the nuts and bolts and get to know what we're doing on any given day, but also to look at what we're doing big and long term. We're off to a great start this year. It is a fun group of kids that I'm teaching this year, both working online and live in place. They've been doing a great job in terms of working through all kind of the rocks and shoals that go with learning online. So thank you again for trusting your child with us, and please don't ever hesitate to reach out should you have any questions or concerns. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your family weekend. Bye-bye.